The bell above the diner door chimed at exactly 6:12 a.m., the same soft, tired sound it made every morning when the first customers wandered in chasing coffee and quiet. Maya Alvarez barely looked up. She was already refilling creamers, wiping down the counter with practice circles, her mind running ahead to the rest of the day, school drop-offs, overdue bills, the hum of worry that never quite left her chest. She had learned to move through mornings on autopilot because thinking too hard before sunrise only made the weight heavier. Maya was 29, a single mother of a 7-year-old boy named Lucas, and the kind of woman who smiled even when her feet ached and her heart felt frayed. Life hadn't fallen apart all at once for her. It had unraveled slowly, like a sweater pulled thread by thread. A marriage that ended quietly. A job she loved that disappeared when the company downsized. A medical bill that snowballed after Lucas broke his arm. Somewhere along the way, she found herself here, working double shifts at a roadside diner off a nearly forgotten highway, surviving on tips and hope. That morning, the diner smelled like burnt toast and strong coffee. The regulars sat in their usual booths, the retired trucker reading yesterday's paper, the nurse coming off a night shift, the elderly couple who shared one breakfast and 2 cups of tea. Maya knew their orders by heart. She liked that part of the job, the predictability, the small human rituals that didn't demand too much. The man who walked in at 8:47 a.m. didn't fit any familiar pattern. He wore a tailored charcoal coat that probably cost more than Maya's monthly rent, though it was dusted with road grime at the hem. His shoes were polished but scuffed, as if he'd walked a long way without caring who noticed. He looked tired, not the diner regular tired, but a deeper kind, the kind that sleep didn't fix. He paused just inside the door, scanning the room as if unsure he belonged there. Maya grabbed a menu and approached him with her usual warmth. "Good morning. You can sit anywhere you like." He chose a corner booth, one of the quieter spots. When Maya brought him water, he thanked her without looking up, his voice calm and distant. He ordered simply, black coffee, eggs over easy, dry toast. No substitutions, no small talk. As she moved through her shift, Maya noticed him occasionally. He ate slowly, methodically, like someone savoring routine rather than food. He didn't check his phone. He didn't rush. When Maya refilled his coffee, he nodded politely but didn't smile. There was a heaviness about him, something unspoken, and it stirred a familiar ache in her chest. She recognized that look, the look of someone carrying more than they showed. When he finally asked for the check, Maya printed it and slid it into the worn leather folder, wishing silently that he'd be generous. Lucas needed new shoes. The electric bill was past due again. She placed the folder on the table with a soft, "Take your time," and walked away. A few minutes later, she saw him stand. He left exact change for the meal on the table, tucked neatly inside the folder. No extra bills, no tip. Maya felt the disappointment hit before she could stop it. She hated herself for it. Hated how even after years of telling herself not to expect kindness, part of her still did. She swallowed it down and reminded herself that people didn't owe her anything. Tips were gifts, not guarantees. The man headed toward the door without looking back. Maya moved to clear the table, already mentally calculating how many more customers she'd need to make up the difference. As she lifted the plate, something caught her eye. A folded napkin, heavier than it should have been, tucked carefully beneath the edge. She hesitated. Inside the napkin was not cash. It was a single cream-colored envelope, thick and deliberate, with her name written across the front in careful ink. Maya's breath caught. She glanced toward the door, but the man was gone. The bell chimed once more, then silence. Her hands trembled as she opened the envelope. Inside was a handwritten note and a cashier's check. The number on the check made her knees weak. She sat down in the booth, the diner blurring around her, the noise fading into a distant hum. The amount wasn't just generous, it was life-altering, enough to erase her debt, enough to give her breathing room, enough to dream again. The note was short. "I'm sorry for the $0 tip. Some gifts are too large to leave on a table. You reminded me of someone I once loved, kind even when the world was unkind to her. I hope this helps you remember that what you do matters." A friend tears spilled before Maya realized she was crying. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet tears slipping down her cheeks as years of tension loosened all at once. She pressed the note to her chest, overwhelmed by a mix of gratitude and disbelief. The rest of her shift passed in a haze. She told no one. She carried the envelope in her apron like a fragile miracle, afraid it might disappear if she looked at it too long. When her shift ended, she picked up Lucas from school and hugged him tighter than usual. That night, as Lucas slept, Maya sat at their small kitchen table and allowed herself to imagine a different future, paying bills without panic, enrolling Lucas in the art classes he loved, maybe even going back to school herself, finishing the nursing degree she'd abandoned years ago. For the first time in a long while, hope didn't feel dangerous. Weeks passed. Maya paid off her debts quietly. She fixed the broken heater. She opened a small savings account. But the money, as miraculous as it was, wasn't the thing that stayed with her most. It was the note. She carried its words with her through every shift. When customers snapped or ignored her, she remembered that someone had seen her. When she felt invisible, she remembered that kindness didn't always announce itself. Slowly, something inside her changed. She stood a little taller. She smiled a little easier. She started leaving extra muffins in the break room for coworkers who skipped meals. She covered shifts without complaint. She began to tip generously when she went out to eat, even when it meant sacrificing something small for herself. Kindness, she learned, was contagious. 6 months later, on a quiet afternoon, the diner door chimed again. Maya looked up and froze. The man stood there, wearing the same tired eyes, though something about him seemed lighter now. He met her gaze this time and smiled. They sat together in the corner booth. He admitted softly that he'd lost someone he loved years ago, a woman who waited tables while putting herself through school, who believed in people even when life gave her no reason to. Leaving that diner without tipping had felt wrong, but leaving the envelope had felt necessary. I needed to believe kindness still mattered, he said. You helped me remember that. Maya reached across the table and squeezed his hand. You changed my life, she whispered. He shook his head. You were already changing it. I just gave you room to keep going. When he left that day, he tipped $20 on a $10 check. Maya laughed through her tears as she watched him walk away. Somewhere between burnt toast and black coffee, between exhaustion and grace, a simple act of compassion had rippled outward, transforming not just one life, but many. And Maya understood then that the true gift wasn't the money beneath the plate. It was the reminder that even in the smallest places, humanity still shows up, sometimes quietly, sometimes unexpectedly, and always exactly when it's needed most.